What is your preferred music streaming service? Well, for most of us, the answer would be Spotify. After all, it's the largest music streaming service in the world. Spotify has become a household name in over 90 countries with over 345 million subscribers. In June 2020, Spotify's market cap was estimated to be around $48.2 billion. But it wasn't always like this for the streaming juggernaut. So how did Spotify get to this point? In today's video, we'll take a deep dive into how Spotify went from a small startup to ruling the music streaming industry. So without further ado, let's dive into the video. It all started back in 2006. Back then, the music industry was going through a transition phase. Things weren't looking good. The only existing music sharing website called Napster had been forcefully shut down due to copyright infringements. It would be 2 years before iHeartRadio and Pandora came onto the market with their online platforms. People no longer seemed interested in buying CDs, and this number had been consistently declining for the last couple of years. Record labels were out of ideas on how to remedy the situation. This is where Daniel E.K. and Martin Lorentzon decided to change the way people were listening to music. Like many other fantastic business ideas, Spotify originated as a result of personal experience and frustration. Daniel and Martin used to spend hours in Daniel's apartment in the outskirts of Stockholm. Both entrepreneurs used to brainstorm ideas, and during these sessions, they would listen to music on Daniel's PC, which was the only source of entertainment for the two men. Soon the lack of options and the task of searching for new music on a computer was proving to be a real challenge. One day, both of them sat together and started brainstorming ideas for creating a peer-to-peer music streaming service similar to Napster. But there was one big problem. Napster was illegal due to copyright infringement. Another problem with the service was the time it took to download a song, and even then, the quality wasn't always great. Moreover, even the most trending torrents were usually corrupted, which made downloading music a risky affair. Despite the rising popularity of piracy, Daniel strongly believed that most music fans wanted to enjoy the whole music experience. He thought no one wanted to willingly pirate songs, but the lack of a solution and options on the market pushed people to undertake those actions. Well, soon an idea became a service, and Spotify was born in 2006. At that time, it was known as Spotify AB. The skillful founders were able to create a working first product in less than 4 months. And later the next year, a beta version of Spotify AB entered the testing stage. Daniel wanted Spotify to bring change in the music industry by bringing one-of-a-kind listening experiences to its users. So in order to achieve this vision, the engineers at Spotify worked endlessly to patch together a functional beta version of Spotify AB. However, as much as the company was intent on developing something that was usable, Daniel wanted to make the beta version as technically lightweight as possible. This obsession was in line with the nature of the potential audience. Anything less than 250 milliseconds would be perceived as instant by the human brain, and Daniel envisioned that every user should feel as if they had every soundtrack ever recorded at their fingertips. The service's significant competitive edge was frictionless user experience. The only way to give competition to free music, Daniel believed, was to make the experience on Spotify so unique that consumers would gladly pay $10 each month, even if they could simply download illegal copies of their favorite songs for zero cost. At the time, iTunes was selling a song at around $2, so the company would have a definite advantage if it could sell so much more at just $10. Soon Spotify approached famous music bloggers in Sweden and invited them to try the new streaming platform. This strategy proved to be very fruitful, as even in the early stages, beta testers were amazed because of the outstanding service being offered by Spotify. Now Spotify had a product that people were crazy about and created in less than a year. These people were, for most of them, ambassadors of this amazing new application. The next 2 years were incredible for Spotify, as the company was able to raise more than $85 million in 2 rounds of seed funding. Most of this initial capital was put into hiring industry experts. Spotify's business scale rose as the company's personnel developed. While many firms believe that scaling quickly is the only way to expand, Spotify chose to work on building a quality product and limit their growth by restricting the number of invites that people could send to their friends. The company was able to keep its emphasis on developing its product, its plan in order to manage a steady user growth, and establish a sense of exclusivity around the product as a result of this. Spotify's timing was excellent. With the larger music industry in a definite slump and a great understanding of the situation, the company was able to use its industry knowledge and timeliness to clinch critical early licensing deals. Global music business sales had decreased to around $16.9 billion when Spotify started in Sweden in 2008, and the relentless decline showed no signs of letting up. With revenues dropping and few solutions in sight, EMI, Sony, Universal, and Warner Music, the biggest record labels in America, along with some smaller ones, agreed to make their complete back catalogs available on Spotify on a restricted basis for usage outside the United States. These major record companies were given a share in Spotify and became the company's largest stockholders in exchange, getting about 1/5 of the company's stock for just 100,000 Swedish krona. This was a critical moment in the history of the company. Without these deals, it is hard to imagine that we would have seen Spotify become the company it is today. Spotify was in dire need of funding, and the record labels needed Spotify to become popular with the younger generation. These labels weren't losing much when they decided to support Daniel's venture. They needed to attempt something new because sales and revenue were declining. If Daniel's product had failed to catch on, the labels would have been no worse off than they were before. The most significant loss would be the small sum paid by the labels to become Spotify's largest stockholders, and that was when they handed over their back collections. Another thing that allowed Spotify to grow came in 2009, when the Napster founder and a Facebook investor emailed Daniel and voiced his support for the young company. Parker, like all other record label executives, was astounded by the quality that Spotify brought to the table. The platform's user experience and other social features enabled users to make and share their playlists with other people. This feature was one that truly pleased Parker. Parker was so impressed that he introduced Daniel to Mark Zuckerberg, and sometime later, Spotify was integrated into Facebook, a move that would launch the company in the United States. By 2011, Spotify had over 10 million recordings in its repertoire and over 1 million music fans across 7 European nations using its service, and above $100 million in its accounts. The company had almost perfected its business model, providing limited features for no cost, and all of them for a relatively cheap price. But the company still needed more customers to fuel growth, and they were too ready to find this fuel in the United States. So Spotify partnered with big American names like Chevrolet, Coca-Cola, and many others as a means of coming into the U.S. It wasn't the collaboration with major sponsors that was particularly creative about the strategy. It was the way Spotify took its business model from Europe and applied it to the huge U.S. market. Spotify's freemium service featured display adverts for its American launch partners. In exchange, the American advertisers handed their social audiences exclusive Spotify invitations. This increasing number of customers and brand visibility for the advertisers delayed the streaming service's initial development in the U.S. by releasing invites in small batches and preserved the exclusiveness that fueled much of the hype around Spotify. This was done by keeping Spotify away from the mainstream markets. Another amazing strategy was the freemium version. Users could listen to millions of songs, but there were certain limitations that could just be seen as inconveniences. This was done purposefully to bring people toward the paid or premium subscription. However, the company faced trouble at the start as the Big Four labels wanted to introduce an exclusive paid version in the United States. However, by the relentless effort of the engineering team and the amazing entrepreneurial skills of Daniel, the company was soon able to launch in the U.S. Although Spotify faced ever-increasing cost in its initial years, the company soon saw an increase in premium subscribers, a number that's continued to grow over time. Soon, features like personalized playlist, release radar, and other such features were introduced, all of which have contributed to the company becoming the powerhouse it is today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button and activate those notifications for more inspiring videos. Cheers!